The situation is this. I think they've already explained to you. The issue at stake here is major interests, the well-being of the people. Our families are on the streets. Our communities, the well-being of the people. We've been inside for quite a year now. We've been using __ for reasons that you're very familiar with. Clara, they didn't get us anywhere. We haven't committed to the fact that there will definitely be 0 deaths. Let's say at a complete level. But this, in terms of violence, we have to digest that they are the ones who contributed the vast majority of homicides in our country. They have decreased, we believe. It's working. They say that if you decide to take the path of crime, you can only end up in 2 ways, prison or dead. And boy, did Old Man Lin manage to escape this rule for years. However, death came to him in the worst way you could imagine, so horrible that at his funeral they didn't even allow him to be seen. Since they hadn't even left his face, how his death and funeral were. Stay until the end of the video and find out. Before you start, leave your registration with the like button and subscribe. Our stories will surely captivate you. Now, activate the bell so we can begin. He who kills with the sword dies with the sword. This is what has been said since ancient times. And that when a person takes the path of evil, it is what is repeated to drug traffickers every time they enter that world, since just as they take thousands of lives along the way, they also slowly dig their own grave, where sooner rather than later, they end up meeting the same end as the people they once killed in cold blood without any mercy. Old Man Lin was no exception to this rule. The same thing happened to him, since among the little information available about him, it became known how the police arrived too late to be able to deal with the well-known man. Leader of the Maras, since the Zaz group arrived early to capture and subsequently kill the man who once caused them so much trouble. Although no official video exists, a couple of videos have become popular in the last week where you can clearly see Old Man Lin's face pleading for mercy and human empathy, but as if he were dealing with wild animals. The mercy they show the poor man is little and nothing at all. His funeral is nothing compared to the life of luxury and excess the old man led. A funeral of the same nature was expected. However, after the tragic and horrible death inflicted on him, the family decided to do something very small and private, where no one was allowed to open the coffin. Since there lay only the remains of a man who had seen hell firsthand before dying, that the torture he was subjected to was not unusual, was something horrifying for everyone to see. Those who had the misfortune of seeing his lifeless body. When he died, for many, it was a great relief. For others, it was the worst thing in the world. However, it is impressive to see how he stopped the world and everything he wanted with just a flick of his fingers. He simply became a bag of bones and flesh, not even a recognizable face. This is what old Lin's life was like. Lin was born in a slum in San Salvador, amid the poverty and hopelessness that affected many communities in El Salvador. From an early age, Lin witnessed the violence and injustice that plagued his environment, marked by the omnipresent presence of gangs and the lack of opportunities for young people like him. As Lin grew up, he became increasingly drawn to the world of gangs, which offered a sense of belonging and protection in a dangerous and hostile environment. He joined the Mara Salvatrucha MS-13, one of the largest and most violent gangs in El Salvador. He quickly proved himself a charismatic and cunning leader. Under Lin's leadership, the MS-1 grew in size and power, extending its influence through violence and intimidation. Lin was known for his cruelty and willingness to use extreme violence to maintain control over his territory and members. However, as the MS-1 gained power, so did the attention of authorities and society at large. Lin became a prime target for law enforcement, who saw him as one of the main perpetrators of the rising wave of violence in El Salvador. Despite constant pressure from authorities, Lin managed to maintain his position as leader of the MS-13 for many years, consolidating his power and reputation as one of the gang's most influential leaders. Under his leadership, the MS-13 became a force to be reckoned with in El Salvador, extending its influence far and wide, across the country and beyond its borders. However, Lin's life was also marked by betrayal and violence in his quest for power and control. Lin faced numerous internal and external challenges, including power struggles within the gang and attacks from rival gangs and law enforcement. What Old Man Lin's luxurious life was like. One of the highlights of Lin's luxurious life was his residence. Lin lived in an impressive mansion located in an exclusive area of San Salvador. The mansion was surrounded by high walls and protected by armed guards, reflecting Lin's status and influence within the MS-13. The house featured every imaginable amenity, including a swimming pool, gym, game room, and extensive gardens. In addition to his impressive residence, Lin also enjoyed a wide collection of luxury vehicles. He had a fleet of high-end cars, including luxury sports cars, SUVs, and all-terrain trucks. These vehicles were not only status symbols, but also important tools in his lifestyle, which often involved traveling quickly and safely throughout the country. Clothing was another important aspect of Lin's luxurious life. He dressed in designer clothes from the most exclusive brands, sporting elegant suits and high-quality accessories. His style of dress was another example of his status and power within the MS-13 and also allowed him to stand out and be recognized anywhere he went. In addition to these material luxuries, Lin also enjoyed an active and glamorous social life. He organized exclusive parties and events at his mansion, attended by members of the gang as well as influential people in Salvadoran society. These parties were occasions to show off his power and wealth, and also to consolidate his position within the MS-13. However, despite all these luxuries and comforts, Lin's life was also marked by paranoia and constant fear. He knew that his position as leader of the MS-13 made him a target for the authorities and rival gangs. He lived under the constant threat of violence and betrayal. By the way, if you're enjoying the video, we invite you to give us your like and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. We continue. What were the events that marked a before and after in the life of Old Man Lin? Number 1. Joining gangs. Lin was just a teenager when he decided to join a gang on the streets of San Salvador. Raised in an environment of poverty and violence, Lin saw gangs as a form of protection and belonging. Joining a gang was a way to find a place in a world that seemed against him. Lin's entry into gangs was a turning point in his life. Suddenly, he found himself immersed in a world of violence and crime that would change his life forever. Gangs gave him a sense of identity and belonging, but they also took him under control in an endless cycle of violence and retaliation. As Lin became more involved in gang life, his reputation grew among his peers and enemies. His courage and determination set him apart, and he soon became one of the most respected and feared members of his gang. However, this rise in the gang's hierarchy also led him down a path of increasing violence and criminality. Number 2. Rise to leadership. Lin's rise to leadership of the gangs was a gradual but inevitable process. As he gained a reputation within the gang for his courage and determination, Lin rose through the ranks until he became one of the most powerful and respected leaders. His leadership was marked by brutality and violence, but also by his ability to keep the gang united and protect its members. Under his leadership, the gangs became a force to be reckoned with in El Salvador, controlling large territories and exerting influence over the community. However, Lin's leadership also put him in the crosshairs of authorities who were tirelessly searching for him for his crimes, despite the risks. Lin stood firm in his position, determined to protect his gang and maintain his power at all costs. Number 3. Betrayal by a close ally. One of the most shocking events in Lin's life was the betrayal of a close ally within his gang. This individual, whom Lin had trusted deeply and considered a brother, decided to betray him and reveal crucial information to the authorities in exchange for personal benefits. The betrayal by this close ally was a devastating blow to Lin. He felt betrayed and abandoned by someone he had trusted completely. This betrayal marked a fundamental change in the way Lin viewed the people around him and led him to adopt a more distrustful and distant attitude toward others. For encountered an innocent victim during one of his raids into rival gang territory. Lin encountered a young woman and her young son who met. Caught in the middle of the conflict, the terrified and desperate woman begged Lin not to hurt them, explaining that she and her son were innocent and had nothing to do with gangs. This encounter left a deep impression on Lin. For the first time, he came face to face with the real and devastating impact of his actions on innocent people. This event led him to question his actions and motivations and made him realize the harm he was causing to people who had nothing to do with gang life. And so we come to the end of this video. If you liked it, I invite you to give us a like so we can continue making more videos like this. Also, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our new videos. I wish you a great day. Until next time.